بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد صلاة تنجينا بها من جميع الأهوال والآفات وتقضي لنا بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وترفعنا بها عندك أعلى الدرجات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياة وبعد الممات إنك على كل شيء قدير آمين يا رب العالمين. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we begin our talk, we just request the brothers to please come forward. Alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah. I noticed that we have more brothers in the front of the masjid, alhamdulillah. And we request those that are able to come forward, kindly come forward, inshallah. Please come forward because there is more reward here in the front of the masjid. The closer you come to the front of the masjid, the greater your reward will be. And I can promise you, we need all of this reward. All of this reward. I was of two minds today. I wanted to speak about another topic. And I was also, very torn between the two because I wanted to continue with this beautiful kitab that we've been doing over the past couple of Jumu'ahs. I wanted to speak about what has been happening in the world. There was a number of incidents that happened in this past week, 2 weeks in fact, that really shook me. And I read something on the status of one of my friends the other day, and he said, "Kafa bil mawti wa'adha." That death is sufficient as a warner. Death is sufficient as a message, sufficient for us to catch a wake up. When you hear someone dying, one thing is we can hear on the news our brothers and sisters in the Arabian Peninsula, Turkey, portions of Europe, etc. They have been struck with this affliction. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them afiyah and alleviate them from the suffering. And all of the Muslims, in fact, all over the world. This is a sign of Qiyamah. A sign of Qiyamah that there will be an increase of natural disasters. We find in South Africa, when I was growing up, I'm not very old, but when I was much younger, we never heard of things like tornadoes in South Africa. It was something that only happened in America and other places. But we found now in the past few years, serious tornadoes have struck South Africa. Earthquakes, hurricanes, things are happening, floods, and this is happening in our country as well. These are signs of Qiyamah. So one thing is we hear of people overseas that are suffering, but when it's close to home, and it's your neighbor, or it's a family friend, or it's somebody that you love, that has passed away, kafa bil mawti wa'idha. Now we take heed, now we take a lesson. So I wanted to just touch on this briefly before I get into this topic, and I really do hope that I have enough time to finish this beautiful topic today, inshallah. But there was a girl, 7 years old. Her name was Alaina. 7 years old, she passed away 2-3 days ago. She started experiencing bodily pain. Went to the doctor, she was admitted to hospital, all of her organs just stopped functioning. And she passed away. 7 years old. 7 years old. We can't even remember when we were 7 years old. We don't have memories much of those years. But that girl is a Jannati. What is the state of you and I? What lesson are we going to take from this? There was another girl 2-3 weeks ago, a friend of my wife's, the family friend. She had some type of a muscle illness where the muscles deteriorate over time and become paralyzed, etc. You can't use your limbs. She was in her mid-20s when she passed away. Never been able to walk in her life. Her mother had to make her khidmah throughout her life, take her to the bathroom, wash her, bath her, clean her, feed her, everything, dress her. She could do nothing for herself, but she made an impact on the community. Even being unable to really use her limbs, she's authored books which are being used and taught. She has assisted, she used to teach other people Arabic, etc. It didn't stop her. What have you and I achieved? What impact have we left on the community? We always say that, no, inshallah, I'm going to phone the imam tomorrow, I'm going to phone the sheikh tomorrow, whichever area we are in. Inshallah, we'll contact him and we'll start. I don't know how to bacha, I'm embarrassed, but I'm going to phone the Sheikh, inshallah, I'm going to start classes. And the tomorrow, no, I'll do it tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, I'll do it next week. Next week comes, no, inshallah, we'll phone tomorrow. My wife is going to nag you and remind you, hey, didn't you phone the Sheikh? When are you going to phone the Sheikh? No, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Until we run out of tomorrows. When we run out of tomorrows and it's inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and then what? If only. If only we had phoned the Sheikh. I can tell you, make the phone call. Make the effort. Even if you only went for one lesson, inshallah, you will die as a student of deen. Even if you started your first lesson of your alif, ba, ta, tha, if you die, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will appoint an angel for you in your qabr and you will complete your hifz with a malaika. Kafa bil mawti wa'idha. Sufficient is death as a warner. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the opportunity and the ability to, having seen what has happened in the world, the people in Europe, the people in Syria, the people in Turkey, those people have suffered war in the past couple of years. We don't even know this. For those that have been to the border, you've seen the suffering of these people. Syria was ripped apart by war. For the past years, these people have been displaced, and now it's been ripped apart physically by an earthquake. What have we learned from this? What have we taken from this? These people's lives have been ripped to pieces in a matter of seconds in front of their eyes. What guarantee do you and I have that we are still going to continue living the comfortable life that we are living tomorrow or the day after? What lesson have we taken from this? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really grant us the tawfiq and understanding, inshallah. Do not waste the opportunities that you have in this world. You still have life. You still have strength. Regardless of your age, you still have the ability to achieve. You still have the ability to learn, even if it is one harf of Quran. That one harf can take you to Jannah. That one harf that you learned with ikhlas, with sincerity, could have been just what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted from you and for you to put you into paradise. So don't wait. Don't waste your time. May Allah grant us tawfiq. May Allah grant us understanding. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from us, inshallah. We begin and we continue with our topic for today, and we continue with this very beautiful kitab that has been authored by Sayyid Muhammad bin Alawi al-Maliki al-Hasani rahimahullah ta'ala, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the perfect man. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-Insan al-Kamil. So alhamdulillah, we concluded the topic where we discussed the beautiful eloquence and speech of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and all the beautiful lessons that we derived from some of the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we continue inshallah today with the next portion of this beautiful book, and this is the book the chapter where we discuss the perfect knowledge of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding worldly affairs, more specifically to the planning and organizing matters of residence, construction, those kind of things. When it comes to trade, the marketplaces, business, etc., there are many things that we don't know about the Prophet ﷺ in this regard. And inshallah today we are going to learn about this, and there are some very important and very beautiful lessons that we will learn inshallah. We make the intention, as we make with all of these chapters, that we are studying this or we are learning this for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to practice the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that I can bring my life closer to the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so I can bring my actions closer to the actions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I can do this like how the Prophet alaihi salatu wasallam is Habibullah, I can also become the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it, inshallah. Ameen ya Rabb. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would personally involve himself when it came to the construction of things in Medina Munawwara. Now this obviously is something which happened after the hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we know that Medina Munawwara became the capital and the headquarters of the Islamic world, basically. Madinatul Nabi, Madinatul Tayyiba, Medina Munawwara was the center point and the focal point of the Muslim community. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would concern himself with the planning and the directing, the construction of houses and residential areas. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very wise, and it would seem, and it was really knowledgeable, that the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam planned the sanitation of Medina Munawwara, regarding the ventilation of facilities, houses, the masjid, etc. Everything was planned and organized very specifically by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is very, very interesting. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam outlined the buildings and designed these things, specifically taking into consideration the huququl jiran, the rights of the neighbors. So we can't just build where we want to build, or build where we feel like building, or how we feel like building. Everything needs to be done according to the rights of the neighbors. Everything needs to be done according to Sharia. Everything needs to be done taking into consideration cleanliness, because they didn't have a sewage system like we have today, where you can just go to the bathroom and flush the toilet and everything goes underground. Everything didn't go underground those days. It was on top of the ground. So there were certain channels, gullies, gutters that they would have next to the road where the impure water, so to say, would flow. There were certain things and certain ways that things were done in those days. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam designed the community and the way of the residents such that he took all of these things into consideration. When it came to najasa, also people walking, that the najasa is not flowing all over the street. It must have a specific channel where it can flow, so that people, when they are walking the road, they don't get, they don't soil their clothing, etc. When they come to the masjid, they must be clean, etc. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam personally oversaw all of these things and took all of this into consideration when he, instructed the construction of these things. And this is something that many of us don't know, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was personally involved in the engineering of these things. So it is mentioned by Ibn Sa'ad in his kitab of Tabaqat, that after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had paired up the Sahaba radiallahu anhum that migrated from Makkah Mukarramah, after they came to Medina Munawwara, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had what is called the mu'akhat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala paired one muhajir, one brother, one from Makkah, with an Ansari brother from Medina. And they became, what we say, closer than brothers. One is a brother in faith, and then the mu'akhat had a specific type of a rule, and a specific type of a shari'i impact. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam paired them up, and the Ansar then took the Muhajirin in and looked after them. After this was done, and after all the Sahaba were settled and they were sorted out, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam personally designed the house of Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. And this house of Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu was passed down to the Ma'mar family. It is a family that has the lineage, the Ma'mar family line. And this house was in existence right up until the 20th century, when the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was extended. Sadly, the house of Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu was demolished, but alhamdulillah, it was entered into the precinct of the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we unfortunately won't really know. There are demarcations on the marble under the carpets where they have left certain signs for those that wish to know where these things were in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But that is actually something that I found very, very interesting. I thought I'd share that with the brothers and the sisters, mashallah. So this house of Uthman radiallahu anhu was designed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was then entered into the masjid after the extension. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was walking one particular day, and he came to an area outside of Medina Munawwara, in one specific corner of Medina, and he said this would be the perfect spot for a bath house. So we don't have them here necessarily today, but we have places, for example, like some public facilities like gyms, etc. They have showering facilities. So in those days, they would have a designated area where there would be like a public bath house, where people could go and bath in one specific area, so that all the water that is used can be in one area, so that it doesn't flow all over the town and the city, etc. So there were specific areas that were designated for cleaning yourself. Obviously, as we said, according to the precincts of Sharia, where people had the hijab and the modesty was in check. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this is a very, very good spot for a bathhouse, and thereafter a bathhouse was erected in that spot. But this is an indication that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew what should be built and what must be done in which place. And like this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took very meticulous care in designing the residential layout of the city of Medina Munawwara. There is another hadith that is narrated in Sunan Abi Dawud, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to the mujahideen. They were in a particular area, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to the mujahideen that whomsoever over-occupies an encampment and blocks a thoroughfare, like a main road for traveling, then they are not true mujahideen. And this is a very, very interesting thing I feel that we need to take into consideration and understanding, is because there's a very warped concept of what jihad is in the world today. You know, thanks to the Western world and the media, they have misconstrued the concept and the understanding of jihad. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, you are not a true mujahid if you block a road. If you are creating an obstruction, and I do ask the brothers to please take into consideration the houses that surround the masjid here. I'm also making this announcement. One particular brother had requested, because we have had more than one complaint in the past 2-3 weeks now of someone who has blocked the driveway of one of the residents, or one of the musallis in fact was blocked one of the weeks here. He couldn't come out of his parking for some reason, and there is one of the neighbors who's got a nephew that is a paraplegic, and he's going to be coming here in the near future, and he's got special needs. So if the driveway is blocked and he can't move, he's going to be in serious problems. So we are requesting in this regard, learning from this beautiful hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do not block the roads of other people. Do not block the roads of other people. These are the rights of the neighbors upon us, that we give them their space. We are not allowed to bar and block the entrances and exits of other people. May Allah grant us understanding. But we continue, mashallah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also commanded that certain buildings be constructed according to sound principles. Here, when it comes to the rights of the neighbors, as we have just discussed, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically instructed that do not make your building higher than the building of your neighbor, because it will prevent the wind from reaching him. And we know that if there is a ventilation issue, you start developing mold problems, and that then creates health problems, and everybody that lives in Cape Town knows about this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant afiyah, inshallah. But preventing the wind from this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took ventilation into consideration. There must be a healthy flow of air, because it prevents illness. Do not torment your neighbor with the aroma of your cooking pot unless you are prepared to give him a share of it. Unless you are prepared to give him a share of it. So if you can smell your acne and your persistence on a Sunday and all of those things, you will share with your neighbors, inshallah. Allah grant us tawfiq. So regardless of this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in another narration, we learned the clause for this is that without the permission of the neighbor, you cannot undertake extensions and constructions if it is going to cause harm to your neighbor. For example, you are building now another level on top of your house. You may block now natural sunlight from entering the house of your neighbor, and he now no longer has sunlight entering his home. If he does not give you permission, you may not extend your house. Unfortunately today, because we have a secular legal system, nobody cares about their neighbors. The neighbor will say, please brother, don't put an extension on your house because I want the sunlight, etc. It's going to block out. We just say, you know what, I'm just going to sign this document here. My lawyer is better than your lawyer, and I've got more money than you, so salam alaikum. This is the attitude that we have. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq, inshallah. The huququl jar is something very, very serious. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right up until the last moment of his Mubarak life on this dunya, he said he was continuously waiting for Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam, to the extent with regard the rights of the neighbors was so important that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I was waiting for Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam to bring me the wahi to say that your neighbors will inherit from your estate when you die. Yeah. This is the extent of the haqqul jar. Today we don't even know our neighbor's name. May Allah grant us understanding, inshallah. May Allah grant us mahabba, inshallah. May Allah grant true, a healthy environment with our neighbors, inshallah. So mashallah, when we go forward now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also had a specific area that he designated for the marketplace in Medina Munawwara. And there was an existing marketplace, but it was very haphazardly structured, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very displeased. He went there and he said, what type of a marketplace is this? And then he had ordered the redesigning and the layout to be changed. When it was completed, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went back, and this is in Ibn Majah and Tabrani. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stamped his foot on the ground and he was excited, and he said, now this is what we call a marketplace. In other words, this business place is set up nicely. So now do business, do not let it fail. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we must understand the marketplaces, the shopping malls, these are the most hated places to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The most hated places to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But why was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam so emphatic about the fact that it must succeed? Because kasbul halal, earning a halal income, is one of the biggest and most important aspects of the life of a Muslim man. For you to go and earn a halal living. And this is why it was important. Do not let it fail. Keep on making an effort. Keep on working harder. Hustle harder. And we're going to discuss this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very concerned about the marketplace. He would personally go and inspect the marketplace. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would find out what is the latest, trends in markets, so to speak. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did business for years. So he would find out what is happening in the marketplace, what is going on here, how is the business going, what is selling, what isn't selling, what is the problem, what's the shortfall, what's going on. Concerned, why? Because we need to make sure that there is healthy trade for the benefit of the Muslims. So like this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put in some restrictions also, and this is something for us to learn. We need to know the laws of business. Make sure that you familiarize yourself with the laws of business to make sure that you are not doing something haram. To make sure that you are not doing something haram. If one aspect of your trade to you seemingly insignificant can be very haram according to the Sharia, and that haram you are consuming and you are feeding it to your wife and your children and your neighbors and your friends and your family, and you're inviting your parents over and you're feeding them haram, because we are not concerned about the way in which we are doing business. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prevented people from going out and buying the stock of the caravans before it reaches the city. Because now what's happening is you are monopolizing the market. You are shortchanging everybody else in the marketplace. Nobody can get access to the merchandise. Nobody can get access to the stock. You're going out, you're swiping the man's caravan, and then what happens? You inflate the prices and you sell it to everybody at the markup, and you smile all the way to the bank. But you have robbed everybody else. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prevented this. So may Allah grant us the tawfiq, inshallah, to do correct business, inshallah. Obviously there is far more explanation. There are chapters upon chapters when it comes to the business masail. We should familiarize ourselves with those, inshallah, accordingly. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on one particular occasion, he went inspecting, there was a seller, and he had barley or he had some type of wheat that he was selling, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked past and put his whole arm into the pile, and he felt on the inside that it was wet. So he said to him, what is this? Everything on the outside, you've got all your amazing, it looks very nice on the outside, but inside it's soaking wet. What's happening? He said, Ya Rasulullah, the rain fell on it. So he said, so why didn't you put the wet barley on top so that the customers can see it? Because he who deceives is not from amongst us. He who deceives others is not from amongst us. May Allah grant us understanding, inshallah. So mashallah, there are so many other things. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a specific individual that was appointed in the marketplace that would weigh the goods. So you would take your flour, or you would take your corn, or you would take your wheat or your dates, and you would go to the specific individual that was employed to weigh the food, and then he would weigh the quantities according to what you agreed with the businessman. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told this individual, Zin wa arjih, Zin wa arjih, that when you are weighing, give extra. Take the same amount of money. Don't charge extra, rather give extra. Don't charge extra. You can charge less, but give extra. Zin wa arjih. When you are weighing,
Give him more. Let the scale tip more. Give him more. Allah will give you barakah. So do favors to your customers. There were some Buddhas, we hear of the stories, the Buddhas, how the people had dreams about them here from Cape Town. One was a painter. He would be painting the houses. Seemingly an individual that everybody just overlooks. He's not a painter, just a Buddha paints. This man used to make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day, all day while he's painting. What do you think is his condition in the akhirah? There was another person that had business, and we hear of this. He would, when the old people and the pensioners come, he gives them 50% discount, or he gives them even below cost. Why? Because he knows they can't afford it. He's making more than enough money. He doesn't need to make money off a pensioner also. And those are things they don't speak of. That is between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Always leave some actions between you and Allah. We don't have to advertise everything that we do today. We go and give out a pot of acne somewhere, and we must show the whole social media, and we must take all the selfies in the world about how good we are because we're feeding them. Leave your deeds between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's more sincerity in this. I'm going to end this topic now, and I want to mention one final point. This is very, very interesting. My wife actually shared this with me this morning. And I bring our attention back to the incident that happened in Turkey with the earthquake. There was a picture, and I'm sure some of us have seen this. There was a picture of a man that was crushed under concrete, and his hand was sticking out, and in his hand was a tasbih. This man died in the state of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He died while he was making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Interestingly so, I didn't read this information was given to me. This man happened to be a Naqshbandi. The tariqah of tasawwuf of the Naqshbandiya is very strong in Turkey. And this man was busy with the dhikr, and he passed away in this state. I just want to make one statement here. كَمَا تَحْيَوْنَ كَذَلِكَ تَمُوتُونَ. Statement of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. As you live your life, so shall you die. The manner in which you live your life, that is the condition that you will die in. وَكَمَا تَمُوتُونَ كَذَلِكَ تُحْشَرُونَ. The way that you died is the way that you will be resurrected on the day of Qiyamah. This man died and he lived his life in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He died in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will be resurrected with the dhakireen on the day of Qiyamah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq, inshaAllah, to also put forward for our akhirah. Barakallahu feekum wa akhir da'wana. And alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.